I think we're talking about 1977 and my first involvement with the Alberta Federation of Labor. If I have the year correct, the spring of that year, the Federation had its annual convention in Calgary. Reg Baskin was the president of the Fed in a part-time capacity. And if I recall, Eugene Mitchell was the secretary-treasurer, and he was in a full-time position. The convention itself was interesting because it was being heavily debated to create the first full-time position, and that went through. And if I recall correctly, Harry Kostyuk was the first full-time president. But what made the convention memorable, it was held at the Convention Center in Calgary. Les Young, if I recall correctly, was the labor minister at the time. And not long before that convention, the Conservative Party had enacted Bill 41, the Public Service Employee Relations Act. So by that point in time, the CSA of A had now changed to the Alberta Union Provincial Employees, had convinced the delegates and the powers to be that when Les Young walked into the hall to address the convention, we were going to walk out on him. And as Les Young was coming in, we were marching out of the hall as he starts to do his address. And some people thought that was a bad thing to do, but it was Labor sending a message, not just from the public sector, but it was all the private sector unions there as well, that we weren't going to put up with that kind of thing. That same year, the fall of 1977, the Alberta Union Provincial Employees tagged on along with the Alberta Federation of Labor and ran a course as part of the week-long school in it was held in Banff at the Banff Center, did a course on Bill 41. Bill Finn, who was the Director of Education at that time, and his staff ran this particular program. I can't remember all the other staff that were involved. It was a week-long analysis of that new legislation and the impacts it was going to have. So that was the start of my involvement over the years with the Alberta Federation of Labor.